Hello, my name is Alyssa Fox, or you can just call me Alyssa. I have here a minimal bullet journal or Bujo spread. I have a 2-page spread for monthly and a 2-page spread for weekly. I know that bullet journals can get really pretty and fancy, but for someone who was looking for something just a little more utilitarian, but maybe a little colorful, hopefully they would find it useful. You can see there's a lot of space for personalization that you could use, so it's very adaptable. So let's get started. So the bullet journal I'm using is an Archer and Olive bullet journal. You notice that the paper is craft, like this craft brown color. It's my first time using it and I really love it. It's very easy on the eyes compared to a stark white. Here I'm just dividing the pages in half. I believe there's 26 dots across, so just making a nice note for myself. And for the monthly, I just like writing the month at the top of the page. It's just very helpful. So at the top of my monthly spread, I just like to put the name of the month on one page, and you can see that I'm referencing my yearly spread just to get the dates right. So on the opposite side, I write out a small calendar as a month looks, starting with Monday. That's just my personal preference. And then right underneath it, I'm going to write down one day of every day of the month, all the way down the side. And on the right side, this is going to be like my events. So I'm just counting out and making sure I have enough space for the 30 days in April. And at first I thought I was going to subdivide that calendar, but then I decided against it. So I am using a Faber-Castell brush pen, and I am not good at calligraphy, so that's the best I can do. I'm sure you've noticed, but I'm left-handed and I write overhanded, so it's a little difficult for me to not smear everything I write, which is why I'm starting on the right side and moving to the left as I write out the days of the weeks for this mini calendar I have. It's just a constant problem having to smearing what I've written before, which is why I prefer working in pencils first. So the pen I'm using here is a Muji pen, and it is in a 0.3 size, and I really love this type of pen because it dries very quickly and it writes very small, so I almost never smear the ink when I am writing with these pens. So on the left side, I am just writing out the 30 days, 1 through 30 again on the left side, because I decided that I am going to use it as a tracker, the left side. And I had a couple extra lines, so I am just bringing out some pretty washi tape I have. I was gifted a very large amount of washi tape a couple years ago, and I always get a couple more from friends or family, and so a perfect opportunity to use some. So the pen I've been using to write down the days is another Faber-Castell, but it is I think it's just a normal firm nib and a 1.5 size. So it's nice and bold, and I can immediately read the numbers. It's very helpful. So you'll just see me referencing my yearly calendar again just for the holidays in April that I noted at the beginning of the year when I made the yearly calendar. So I personally just like having a whole row for each day of the week in case something pops up and I end up having multiple events on a single day. I like the security and having the flexibility to fit everything together than worrying about not having enough space. So on the left is where I'm trying to develop the key for my trackers. And I have not actually tried out this tracking style before, so I'm trying to develop what exactly I want to track this month and where I want it to sit on the page. So things that I want to track as far as habits is I want to draw more and I want to exercise more. I'm learning the ukulele, so I want to be consistent in my practice. And then Italian, I want to keep up with my lessons. And then I'll also be tracking my mood throughout the month. So I want to encapsulate big emotions. I don't want to be bogged down with too many finer details of splitting hairs over a certain emotion. And I knew at this point that I wanted to color coordinate my habits and my mood, and so I had a limited color palette to choose from, so I needed to keep my options, my tracking limited. It also just helped me from being overwhelmed and tracking 10 things versus just 5 things. And then of course adding a little more washi tape to sort of brighten up the page a little bit. I don't really have a system for why I write certain events in certain colors. I pretty much just go by how I'm feeling when I'm setting it up. So this day, I just felt that April's Fool's Day felt like a green color, and then Easter and Good Friday felt pink to me. I myself do not celebrate Good Friday, but I have some friends and family that do, so I just wanted to be mindful of what they might be doing around or on that day. So if there are any holidays that I did not account for in April that you celebrate, please let me know. I'd be happy to add it to my bullet journal and learn about it. So I spent some time debating if I should write out what I'm tracking in the color I want to track it for, or if I should just do it in blue. And I eventually decided to do it in blue. Also, my older blue Muji pen had pretty much died on me, and so I had to break out a new one. So at this point, I'm just picking out the colors I'm going to be using to both track the habits and my mood. I knew I wanted both to be color coordinated. So you can see here I make a mistake. I had realized that I should probably be using different symbols if I'm going to be using the same color between my habit and my mood. So I'm using these diagonal slashes to track my habits, and I'm using these little diamonds to track my mood. And I'm going to be making another mistake here. I figured out that the two blues were too similar in color. They weren't very easy to tell apart on the craft brown paper. Sorry, that's my head. And so I decided to go over it with a new color. So I used to have a lot of anxiety about worrying and messing up my pages in my bullet journal, but I've been bullet journaling for a couple years now, and thankfully with time things get easier and I'm not as worried about ruining a spread, and it's just something that I move on from now, thankfully, and just rolling with the punches. Now it's just an interesting quirk, and the good thing is I know what it means even with the permanent mistake, so it's not a big deal. So right after the monthly spread, I make the weekly spread, and you can see, unfortunately, these two pages had been glued a little too closely together, so I'm just trying to gently pull them apart. I had lost like a whole line of dots, unfortunately, and I managed to get it, but it's not too pretty, but it's okay. So I am dividing out the pages here vertically in half, and then also horizontally in half. So I've been doing this particular weekly layout for a while now, so I don't need to draw the lines from top to bottom, left to right on each page. I know what I'm doing. I am basically making 4 boxes in each page, and on the most left top box is gonna be sort of like my weekly overview box. So I put down the month because for me, when I flip through my bullet journal, if I don't have the month there, I find out I lose track of what month I am in very easily. And right underneath it, I like putting what week it is. But every day gets its own box. So I start with Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday across the top. And then I write down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the bottom. This is just my preference. I prefer reading left to right all across the spread versus just reading one page, the left page, and then reading the right page. This obviously works if you want to mix it up. Just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the left, and then Thursday through Saturday on the right. You'll also notice I am starting the month out on the 4th, and that's because the 4th is the first day, is the first Monday in April. I had decided that I am going to include the first 3 days of April on the last week of March's weekly spread. And that's just for consistency. I mean, most of the 4 out of the 7 days of that week are in March, so that is the majority, and it should probably be lumped in with March. And so I'm both referencing my yearly calendar and my previous March weekly spread just to sort of help me out figure out which week this is. And the first full week of April is week 14 apparently. So the only thing I track in my weekly overview box here on the top left corner is my to-dos. You could do this. You could put your to-dos in daily if they are day sensitive, but in general my to-dos are not. And so I like putting them in the weekly overview. And I like dividing all the days with washi tape personally. I just think it's a little prettier than a plain vertical line. I'm not so cramped for space that I need the space that the washi tape slightly goes over. And you can see I'm using a very thin washi tape that I have. I'm only going to do this on the vertical lines separating the daily boxes. I used to do washi tape over the horizontal lines as well, but I have, for me, the boldness of the days is more than enough separation, and so I felt like I was wasting the washi tape. So along with noting what day and the date I use, I personally like tracking the weather. So this horizontal line I'm making is going to be the temperature for the day, and I'm leaving a space in the middle for a little symbol, a little iconography for like how the weather actually is that day. If it's going to be sunny, I'll draw the sun, or if it's raining, I'll draw a little raindrop, that type of thing. And then on the far right, I am doing these circles, and I personally like tracking the moon phases. And so I'm going to reference a moon calendar a little later, and I am going to put in a little note about the phases of the moon. And so, like if it's the first quarter, I'll just draw a line and I'll black out the left side, for example. So these moon phases are going to be the last thing I add to the pre-work setup for my weekly spread. I personally like just having all the free space available to me. Personally, I use the spaces for journaling, but you can also use them for writing down events or to-dos or notes for the day. I hope that you found this helpful for anyone looking for some minimal but maybe slightly nicer layouts for your bullet journal. Thank you so much for checking it out, and I hope that everyone has a lovely day.